Welcome to day number 2 of our week-long series, Exposed, America's Broke. This is where we're trying to get past the noise on Wall Street and instead look at a real crisis that we're facing. This one's huge. $53 trillion worth of promises the politicians have made to you and we can't afford to keep. I told you yesterday, I believe that our massive debt, along with energy, which is our focus next week, are the two issues that are going to keep America from controlling its own destiny. You can't make decisions, you know, if you don't want to offend some oil sheik on the other side of the world because you need the energy, or you don't want to offend some communist country because you need their money. You know, we're not free to choose anything unless we get out of this situation. Our politicians continue to talk about new promises to the people for universal health care and universal education. Well, you know what, gang? Let's have an honest talk, a realistic, nonpartisan, non-bullcrap look under the hood of the two promises that we've already made: Social Security and Medicare, entitlement programs that without change, and change now, will entitle us all to free lessons in Mandarin Chinese. My next guests are going to take you through a whole bunch of dire figures here in just a second, but what you really need to know was said by Treasury Secretary Hank Paulson. Yeah, this was last year before he was bailing everybody out. When the Social Security and Medicare trustees report was released, this is what he said, quote, "Rising costs will drive government spending to unprecedented levels, consume nearly all projected federal revenues, and threaten America's future prosperity." Pretty dire, don't you think? How's this? I don't think Secretary Paulson went far enough. These obligations we've made don't just threaten America's future prosperity, they threaten America's future, period. Glenn Hubbard is the Dean of Columbia Business School. He's the guy at Columbia I know and like. And John Chauvin is a professor of economics at Stanford Institute for Economic Policy Research. Let me start with you. This all started, Glenn, did it not, with politicians making promises and then just dogpiling and snowballing through the years?
Well, that's certainly a big part of it. Another part is simply that the society has aged. Healthcare costs have risen much faster than prices generally now for some time. But it's very clear that we have to reform these programs or we won't be able to do anything else as a country. Okay,
everybody talks, John, about Social Security and says, oh, we got to fix Social Security. The real problem here, Social Security's on a back burner in many respects. Medicare is the real problem, is it not? Or the immediate problem?
Medicare is the bigger problem by far. On the other hand, Social Security is still a large problem. Right. Everybody in Washington says that Social Security is easily fixed, so why not fix it? We've known that it had a problem for 20 years, and it's not fixed. If it's so easy to fix, the next administration should fix it in the first 100 days.
Medicare HI, which is the hospital insurance part, that's already running in the red. How did we ever get to Medicare D, which is prescription drugs, which out of the $53 trillion of debt, Medicare D accounts for $8.4 trillion. How did a so-called conservative, George Bush, and this Congress is always claiming that they understand the problem, push through $8.4 trillion of additional debt?
Well, they did it without raising anybody's taxes, so it looked like it was free. The average person who noticed their income tax didn't go up, their payroll tax didn't go up, and they've suddenly got Medicare Part D. What a great thing to run for re-election on.
Okay. Yeah, I think John is absolutely right. We just simply piled up big future obligations, and the whole existence of Part D points up the big flaw in Medicare, that it wasn't really keeping up with private insurance.
Okay, well, hang on just a second. Glenn, let me talk to you about taxes. I showed a chart. Do we have the chart from yesterday with expenditures and revenues? Yesterday, I put this chart up, and it showed, there it is, the yellow line is spending, the other line is revenue. The revenue line, as I pointed out last night, relatively flat. Well, after the program, I did some research on it, and apparently it is like 8.3%. No matter what you charge. You could charge 90% on the top, 5%. You could charge 30%. Revenues remain relatively the same. You can't dig yourself out of this hole with revenues. It's always the same, no matter what you charge. Can you?
No, I mean, the revenue share is between 18 and 19% of GDP. If we were to try to fix our entitlement problem with tax increases, after a generation, we'd have to raise every tax in the country by 60%. It's simply not possible. the growth effects of that would be devastating. We would crowd out everything else in the federal budget.
Okay. John, you say, I read an article that you were talking about age inflation. What's age inflation?
Well, 65, which is the age where you start Medicare, is not what it used to be. When Medicare was introduced in 1965, at age of 65, the mortality of those people were 3%, something like that. The equivalent mortality today is for people roughly 70, 71 years old. A year of life is, you know, people at any given age are younger than they used to be. For instance, let's just go back to Social Security. 65 in 1935, it's about equivalent to 75 today.
Okay, so this is the thing that always drives me crazy. Everybody calls it Social Security. I remember my grandparents used to call it SSI. SSI, Social Security Insurance. Only the government would understand insurance as a guaranteed payout. It was never intended to guarantee a payout for 10, sometimes 15, 20 years.
You could go on, 20,
right.
Maybe 30 years.
Okay, so why don't we've indexed everything else, why don't we index age? Why can't we take Social Security and Medicare and index age? I'm with you. I've written on that. It would be a great thing. We went from dollars to real dollars. We need to go from age to real age. And Glenn, you're shaking your head no.
Yeah, I mean, no. It's absolutely right. I mean, I think that that's part of a family of changes that we could make that would slow down benefit growth. I think that adjusting for age makes sense. Reducing the benefits of high-income people. There are lots of ways to do this.
Okay, let me show you guys something here. I'm going to put it up on the screen. It's called the Menu of Pain. The story on this is why Secretary O'Neill was, what was it, left to go spend some time with his family. Others say he was fired by the White House because he wanted to put this in the presidential budget of 2003. It never showed up until it was in the Social Security budget, but they buried it in the index. What it is if you don't, this is in 2003, if you do these things right now, this is what we'll have to do. Increase federal income taxes by 69%. Increase payroll taxes 95. Cut federal purchases by 106. Cut Social Security and Medicare by 45. If you see, those are the 2003. We're now at 2008. And what it's saying is it's only going to get worse from here. There's no way, guys, any of these things will be done.
Well, the fact is they have to. Arithmetic and budget constraints balance for the government, too. We have a choice of reconfiguring programs on the benefits side, raising taxes, or both, but the status quo is not a choice.
Wait a minute. Both of you guys, help me out on this. They're both still talking about, both parties are talking about even more spending and more programs and more bailouts and universal health care and universal everything. How do you stop this?
You're absolutely right. Neither candidate is taking the position of fiscal responsibility. They're both competing for tax cuts, and at least Obama has got a whole menu of new spending plans. Neither one of them is sort of running on a platform of fiscal responsibility.
Right. Should the argument, forget tax cuts and earmarks are such a small part of this thing, shouldn't we just be talking about massive spending cuts at this point? I mean, shouldn't that be the priority?
Well, it's not so much spending cuts in the here and now as in the future of these entitlement programs, giving people time to adjust. And yes, it should be the priority, but we need to change the budget rules of the Congress so that the Congress really has to understand that it will cut other spending or raise taxes every time it changes an entitlement program.
Okay, guys, thanks a lot. Just a reminder, our special here, Exposed, America's Broke, continues all week. Tomorrow, we're going to take the issue straight to the top with the ranking Republican on the Senate Budget Committee, Judd Gregg. He's from New Hampshire, and Democratic Congressman Jim Cooper, who is on the House Budget Committee. These are the two people that the leader on this issue, former Comptroller General of the United States, David Walker, says we can actually trust as a people. He'll be here with me to help hold their feet to the fire. And on Thursday, we focus on the most important deficit of all, the deficit of trust that all of us have now in our leaders. Until we close that gap, everything else is just talk. Coming up next, Second Lady Lynn Cheney will join me in the studio for a frank conversation about Sarah Palin and so much more.